On. We are moving on to the next phase. Please, if you're going to stay, sit down, and if you're leaving, please do that quickly. And next, we're going to talk about cybersecurity. AI for cybersecurity, is this a boon or bane? And we're going to talk about money laundering, fraud, and financial terrorism. So a lot to cover. And to lead our panel discussion, I'd like to invite Pamela Gupta, who's the AI cybersecurity chair for the IEEE Standards Association. Thank you, Pamela.
Well, hello and good morning. How is everyone? Just checking to see if everyone can hear me. And also introduce my panel and invite them to join me. My name is Pamela Gupta, and I am going to be moderating this panel, also contributing to the panel on cybersecurity. Is it a bane or boon, or both? Or can we even separate out bane from boon? So let's get started. I'll do my intro last. I'm going to first start with my panel. Arvid, if you could please introduce yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Arvid Kok. I'm a senior data scientist at the NCIA agency, which is part of NATO, which I assume you all know. My main purpose in the team is being the lead technology for data science and AI. So my daily job is really about looking into technology from the infrastructure level, software, different methodologies, different types of software, different ways of training machine models in this area to improve different areas. Cyber being one of them, but also a lot of other areas are part of the daily job.
Thank you. Marissa?
Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa Zhou. I actually work in Accenture as a security AI lead. So I've been working in AI area for over 15 years at this stage, doing natural language processing, all of those AI type of terms. Probably if some of you may have heard, some of you have not. So trying to apply those AI technologies in cybersecurity, in identity management, those different areas. So we have a great, really big investment into the area to trying to bring the most up-to-date or state-of-the-art technology into Accenture and also to serve our clients. So we'll be the client zero for a lot of AI technologies we use to serve our clients. So as one of the largest organizations in the whole world, we have a lot to say in what we've learned in applying AI technology in the area.
Okay, thank you. So let's focus on the outcomes, right? Instead of the means. What are the outcomes we are looking to achieve? And can we achieve those without cybersecurity, right? That's really the question. So if we look at AI, we use it as an umbrella term, but as Marissa and Arvid mentioned, there are various elements that make up AI, right? There are various systems when it comes to AI. What financial companies and financial institutions are heavily leveraging today and hope to in the future include things such as natural language processing, such as machine learning, such as computer vision, and other systems when it comes to AI. But each one of those are going to have a different boon and a different bane, right? There are things that can go right and things that can go wrong. And things that, when we talk about boon and bane, let me just describe one thing at the outset, which is AI has the propensity and the potential to not only provide a risk, but also a blessing, a boon, right? And as I mentioned, each one can have can be a double-edged sword or a double-edged flower. Okay. So to give you one example before I ask the panel about their views on this, one, phishing and spam, those are very common, pervasive technologies that is common across not just financial, right? It's a sector. It's common across any company today with a digital presence, with an email. We are using spam filters to separate out good email from bad, so we don't go, clicking on links that we're not supposed to. Which phishing, as you know, by the way, is the highest ROI when it comes to mail factors or the people who, with bad intentions, right, who can benefit. Least amount of money spent for the most amount of return. And so AI is heavily used in that space. But that is the boon. How can it be a bane? Has anyone heard of a malware called Deep Locker? Now, that is malware that is designed with an AI payload. And the beauty of it all is that it is not going to be, it's intelligence hiding in plain sight. So as it enters a network or it comes into an organization, it's not going to be even detected by a spam filter just because of the very nature of the malware. It will only execute if it finds a facial recognition match to who it's targeted for. So in other words, your zero-day attacks, your spam filters are not going to be able to detect it. So this is an example of cybersecurity being a bane and a boon, okay, for AI and how it intermingles. So we want to get to the intended outcomes, and we want to get to the right outcomes, as our panel before was talking about. How do we get there? What are some of the things we need to watch out for? And what is the best time to look at it? Because after all, when we're looking at cybersecurity, because my background has been 25 years of creating strategic risk-based programs for Fortune 500 companies globally. And we've gotten away with doing Band-Aid security or relying on security to come in and help at the end because, hey, we designed systems that didn't quite work with security and integrity baked in from the beginning, okay, or integrated in the foundation. But what can we actually take that chance now? We cannot, right? The whole point is we have to be really strategic when it comes to AI and cybersecurity. So, Arvid, I'm going to ask you the first question, which is, what do you think about, is AI a bane for cybersecurity and vice versa? What is your opinion on?
I think we got in the planetary sessions already sort of the answer to this, actually. Mm-hmm. One of the speakers this morning was telling about a quote from somebody else who said, it's a positive thing, it's not a negative thing, nor it's a neutral thing. I think AI will indeed bring a lot of change about. And this is the same in the cyberspace. So what we see happening in NATO and especially the organization I'm working with, we're predicting a lot of networks being used by NATO, being used by the NATO alliance, meaning all 30, soon to be 32 nations of NATO, to make sure they can do their job in a safe fashion. What we see happening is more and more data coming together, being available for analyzing for potential threats. This is where AI is definitely something positive. AI makes it possible to filter down to those bits of the information that where most likely the threat can be found, where most likely the analysts, the experts, the SMEs in the area can pinpoint where they need to be looking for that next bit of information that can bring them closer to solving cybersecurity issues, closing a leak, helping the organization to continue in a safe manner. On the other hand, of course, there's also the foes, the enemy, the red team, if we talk a red-blue team, where they use the same type of technology. They, for at least a certain extent, they have access to the same type of models, resources, expertise that allows them to counter-attack that. So they build up their expertise, they build up their models. Well, just an example with DeepLocker is also one where the technology is basically used to embed something, a Trojan horse, a door, or something that will disable part of the network for a while in a manner that cannot be detected. Some of you in the AI area might have heard about GAN networks, generative adversarial networks, which are built up by something that is generating what you want to achieve, a model that gives you something you want to end up with. This can be simple as a picture, a bit of sound, but it can also be now trigger a virus. On the other hand, there's a discriminator. Discriminator is all about detecting, was this something done by, well, in network terms, maybe a general user, or was this done by an adverse? Was this done by an AI, by a machine, done with bad intentions? Discriminating between the two is a constant thing going on, and I think we'll continue the next decades beating up each other, trying to get better and better, improve, and it will bring a lot of change about. Better or worse, maybe just ending up in a status quo.
Thank you. So is everybody familiar with GANs, generative adversarial networks? So when we talk about GANs, we talk about, for example, deepfakes you may have heard of, right? Taking a video and changing the players, or taking even voice, which, by the way, is a very important authentication factor for financial institutions, for example. So if you can actually bring in a GAN and generate somebody, it takes a record, take a recording and actually project the voice into something that has not been said, that has very, very, very wide implications, more than one would imagine. Okay, so the problem with the bane of AI in this case and cybersecurity is we actually have the ability to alter our reality and our perception, which, as you can imagine, is how we as human beings think and feel. So when it comes to anything that is highly impactful in our daily lives, whether it's financial or our reality, they can see how GANs can play a very big part. Marissa, I'd like to ask you the same question. Boon or bane?
Yeah, I think like a lot of tools that humans have actually generated, AI is neither boon or bane, because it depends on who the tool will be landed, who will be using the tool, right? So I think there are a lot of regulations around the AI, and they're trying to protect the general public from being, targeted as spam or targeting other type of cybersecurity issues. I think for us, it's not to avoid thinking about, oh, AI is all good, AI is all bad. It's just a tool, and we also need to make sure that we're prepared that AI will be used or landed in like enemies' hands, how we can protect ourselves if that happens, or how can we prevent that from happening. So like a lot of applications, in our scenario, we're trying to detect frauds in our claims or expenses, and trying to protect our people by giving people the right access to systems or these type of things. Now, generally, it can be done more efficiently by AI applications, because we can learn the pattern of the frauds in our data much more efficient. And also we can just learn how people should be given the access more efficiently by enabling people with the access and doing the jobs quicker. In the old days, a lot of those frauds will have to be done through like human audits and those type of things. But now we're seeing the positive impact of AI in this cybersecurity application. Based on those type of things, even we see the use cases like you were saying by like fraudulent behaviors who targeted very selective in targeted audience for spam. Those type of things we need to think about. Okay, if that happens, can we automatically detect in a more efficient way? It's basically like I think a lot of things in our human world is actually very similar. Like the virus will never disappear. The evil in the AI will not disappear. The thing is, we need to develop more intelligence system, protect ourselves, and be prepared if something happens. So it's not about thinking about the positiveness, but also think about the negatives and get ready for it.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I totally agree to most of it, if not all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. What I think we see happening in the development of all this new software, indeed, we are getting better at detecting the patterns in threats, the advanced threat prediction. This is continuing. There's many companies and industries also coming to us, coming to the cyber teams, and offering us new solutions like this, including those AI components. But I think when it comes to many threats, we should not underestimate how much social engineering is involved as well.
Right.
So these tools, this AI, it brings about threat opportunity, but it's not like it's the only player in the field either.
Right. I do agree that it's a part of how we think now, and that's how we can prepare for the cybersecurity of AI. It's not going to be something we can bolt on later, right? In terms of what Marissa was talking about, also I agree wholeheartedly, the unstructured data that sits within financial institutions, such as customer service, for example, data. That's where the gold mine is, right? Because there's all these insights that one would not even think in traditional security terms as something we want to protect, right? These are not regulated data, for example. It's not PII. But that is going to be the driving force of where we're getting the analytics and how to make institutions provide better value. Panel earlier was talking about, that's the aim, right? To give better value to the customers. How can we do that? With customer service data, unstructured data that's sitting within the organization. You may have heard of data is the new gold, right? But data is the new gold for whom is really the question. And in whose hands? Because not only do we want to take that and provide information and make it data and use it for meaningful purpose, but also we want to make sure it's not falling in the right hands. So that's the paradox we are faced with right now, right? As we are looking at putting more and more information within the pipes that are crossing organizationally or across countries, we are just increasing our exposure. And because of AI, we can actually make sense out of this data, which is fantastic, right? But what we have to protect now, that thinking has to change too. It's not just going to be regulated data. What are we protecting and how we protect it is, we will need something like machine learning and technology to identify what those data points are, and then also that example I was giving you earlier with Deep Locker, for example. What is how do we protect against it? It is going to be very much AI that is going to help us even detect those kind of issues. So Arvind, what do you think?
I think you said it best yesterday, actually, when you were talking about trust.
Yes.
Because in the end, when it comes to the use of AI, AIs are being used for many things nowadays, and it is pretty much as simple as holding your mobile phone and looking what's happening under the hood. There's several AI models nowadays for the facial recognition, controlling any device by your voice. These things are probably not the most risky ones. This is just a shift from going from a situation where a programmer did the software to a situation where the software was created based on previous experience, on data. Obviously, you need to control how that data flows, but by the time it hits your mobile phone, it's well tested, and the risks of it having some backdoors in there is just as big as the situation where a programmer did it. Also contains bugs. So that's not really the issue, but we're going into a situation where more and more people have quicker access to more advanced AI, and they can use it for different purposes than before. Like you just mentioned, we have an easy way to do deep fakes. This used to be for the big companies with the fancy machines, doing those deep fakes, showing the world that it's possible. Now you download the app and you do it yourself. And the impact of that it's going to be tremendous. Though I don't see it as a threat, it's a change.
Yes.
Yeah, I also just want to, I agree what you just said, right? So on the top of like building or leave no trust is we all need to think about how we can leave like zero trust in a lot of AI systems. Especially a lot of our applications are actually used, for example, implement a proper data governance process in place, and also implement data masking systems, trying to make sure that the data, the PII information will be protected before it flows into the data pipeline. You said, right? Just protect all the data from the source rather than trying to save what happened later. So having the proper data governance process and having data masking techniques in the data processing pipeline, I think it's very critical for protecting the data from being misused in a lot of applications.
If I just can continue on this a bit, what we see in the military area, in the NATO area, we're talking about IEA, information area assessments. This is all about seeing what is the public opinion in the different countries, in our countries within the NATO society, the ones outside, how do they think about certain topics? And IEA is really about then being strategic in how you position certain information. And AI plays a big role there. And when it comes to building the trust, you need to make sure that you step in where a certain opinion grows too big or a certain technology gets too big. And in banking, in finance, it's more important there than anywhere else, I think.
Yeah, I agree, because we are at the point where we cannot be thinking typically what happens in cybersecurity. It's a lot of looking in the rear view mirror as you're driving the car, right? What happened in the past, learning from breaches. But this is not an area where, when we're talking about artificial intelligence and these highly impactful systems, we cannot learn from looking in the rear view, right? That is what we are tasked with, I should say, as cybersecurity and thought leaders, is to anticipate what's coming down the pike. Because God knows we've done this for a long time, right? We know cybersecurity. We know how to create cybersecurity strategy and paradigms for complex systems. But we also have the ability to use human intelligence to help identify what is the right measure to put in place now. So to take a look at just cybersecurity is not going to be enough, right? We're talking about trust. What is trust? And is cybersecurity the only element? No, right? You could have the best protected system, but yet it could do harm. How do we protect that? We have to know what's going on inside that, and that therefore introduces an element of transparency. is the system doing, what is it supposed to do? And then accountability, which is something we've used and known for a long time in cybersecurity. How do you introduce accountability in AI that's going to be, hey, you know what? That's not just transparency now. That's explainability. But we have a deep learning model. How do you get explainability?
Yeah.
So we can do this. We have done this. But we do need the right support from management. We need the right support from within the entire organization. This cybersecurity conversation, in my opinion, is not a silo. It never has been, but now more so than ever, is a broader mindset. It's part of our thinking DNA, that how do we look at what is the harm that can come, what is the risk this brings, and what can we do right now as we're building this to prevent that. Marissa?
Yes, I totally agree with what you just said. So a lot of things we have to do to prevent us, and also like what I mentioned about normalization of the data for AI to process the data. Don't also use synthetic data. I'm not sure whether the audience have heard of that. Instead of using real data for AI applications, a lot of companies are looking at synthetic data at this stage. And also on the top of the things you mentioned about explainability, that is a huge problem in the AI world, because it's quite hard to explain what the generative AI are generating, right? Or how it's being generated. But when it comes to the AI plus machine, we have to ensure that the human can understand. That's the gap I think a lot of AI practitioners are trying to solve at this stage. And it will be creating a lot of opportunities for the new technology to be generated in the area and be really used in the industry. So using, for example, synthetic data, make sure that AI will be explainable in the whole pipeline. I think these are very critical in AI adoption in the industry for protection.
Okay, thank you. I think we can take one quick question. We are at time. Yes, go ahead, please.
So on the red side, like in this sphere, we have state actors and AI's inherently dual-use technology. So on the red side, this is cybersecurity. It's an interesting sphere where we have state actors acting against organizations. AI's dual-use technology, infinitely scalable, propagates quickly. On the blue side, are we still too siloed into organizations each individually reinventing the wheel and trying to defend themselves, and how can we improve collaboration? And do we need to treat cybersecurity more as a public social good in a way? I mean, organizations don't worry about educating everyone in society. They don't worry about the infrastructure and the roads that everyone gets to work. A lot of that is alleviated and taken off them. So on the blue side, where is the balance now and where could it be better?
I think we have a very good example with recent events in Ukraine, which you could not have missed. One of the things happening there is that the EU is actually sending cyber experts to the Ukraine to help them in a crisis situation. This is not an individual company. This is a government-organized team with highly expertised people in cybersecurity going there, helping them to secure the companies that are vital for their infrastructure, for their way of living, as far as we can talk about a way of living over there right now. So yes, I totally agree. This is being picked up by EU, by NATO, by UN. This is happening, but I agree that we might have to step up a pace there.
Because war is hybrid now, right? It's not physical, it's not cyber. Before even the Ukraine war, we saw signs where there were cyber attacks against and known malware that was released that was specific, which was specifically an attack before the physical attack. So this is very much a hybrid domain now, and you're right. It's not something that organizations can handle on their own, right? It has to be, but it cannot just be the government or the organizations too. It has to be a collaborative and a very informed kind of a stance, because Because, hey, who will suffer most as an organization? That also plays in any organization. Business management is looking at what are the risks, right? So this is very much part of everybody's risk right now. Marissa, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it definitely. So it's like people were talking about the war in the future would not be based on the weapons, bombs, and actually based on cyber information leaks or cyber attacks or finance attacks and stuff. So I totally agree. How we can win in the future war of hybrid way? That's the question we probably need to continuously think about, especially in the cybersecurity area. How can we ensure that our own data is protected, and how we can just not only just protect ourselves and protect our community using the technology. And I agree with a lot of people, just said, a lot of people that I'm actually amazed to see so many people attending the World Summit AI. It's a great event. It's my first time to attend. I know it's amazing for me to see so many people are getting to more learning about the AI. I started doing AI over 15 years ago. Deep learning wasn't a concept, and a first AI system I built was the expert system, basically the rule-based system back then, and now it's getting more advanced. And we just need to create more awareness of those type of things in our general community to make sure that people are aware things are coming and how we can get ourselves prepared for things that are coming.
Are we done? Okay. Well, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, we will be around in the conference. So thank you so much.
Thank you.